Hello everyone, take a look at this beautiful beaded bag. This is what we are going to make today. Very highly requested video. So I'm going to walk you through how we are going to make this beaded bag. So I have here on my table two colors of bead, and I have here in pearls. This is 8mm, and here is a faced bead in yellow color, also in size 8mm. Okay, this size 8. Both of this bead are all in size 8mm. Okay, this is what we are going to use today, and let's get started. Here's my fishing line that I cut in 50 pounds, and now I'm going to start with 4 beads. So I'll be using this yellow bead for the bag, okay, and I'll use pearls for the handle. So I string 4 beads on my line like this, and now I'm going to hold the last one and cross my right line into it and pull. Always, if you are starting, hold both ends of the line together so one is not longer than the other, okay? And now I pull my bead down, and this is what we have. On each side of my line, I'll be adding one bead, okay? They will be sharing one in common. This is 4, and they are sharing one in common. I'm going to add these 3 to it, and it will make 4 again in the circle, okay? Now I add one bead on each line. That's what I'm going to do, adding one bead on each line. Now I'm going to cross both ends of my line into this bead, and I'll pull down. Cross both ends of my line, the left and the right line, into it and pull down. And now we have 2 flowers down, and they are sharing 1 bead in common. Now on each side of my line again, I'm going to add one bead on each line. This is the bead they are sharing in common. This is one, and this is another one, okay? They are sharing 1 in common. And now we are going to make another 4 sets. So I'm adding one bead on each line, and I'll be crossing both ends of my line into this 3rd one and pull down. Cross and pull, okay? You pull down like this, and now we have 3. We are going to continue. I'm adding one bead on each line, and now I'm going to cross both ends of my line into it, this 3rd one, and pull down like this. This is how the weave is looking like this. 1 2 3 4. I'm going to continue to make 20 of these, so continue to make yours. This is 20 that I've made. If you count, this is 20, okay? This is 20 long. So I'm going to turn on this 20 to the side so we can create more rows to make a mat for the bag. So now my left line, I'll be adding 3 beads to my left line. I'll be adding 3 beads to my left line like this. Then I'm going to hold the last one and cross my right line into it and pull down. That way my line turns on the side so I can start a new row, okay? You see where my line is? My line is on the side. So on the left line, I add 3 beads to my left line to start another row. I'm crossing with my right line and pull down. This is how it's looking like. Now my right line into the next bead. I pull my right line into the next bead, and my left line, I add 2 beads to my left line. I'm going to hold the last one, cross with my right line, then I pull it down. My right line again into the next bead. Then I add 2 beads to my left line. I cross with my right line and pull down. Now into the next bead again, I'm going to pull my right line, okay? I'm pulling into the next bead. Pull through the next bead. And now my left line, I'll be adding 2 beads to my left line. I'm going to cross with my right line and pull down. My right line again into the next bead. Pull through the next bead and add 2 beads to the left line. Cross with the right line and pull down. Now this is how the weave is looking like. This is how it's looking like. We are going to continue into the next bead. I pull my right line to the next bead. I add 2 beads to my left line. Into the next bead again, 2 beads to the left line. Cross with the right line and pull down. Okay, this is how the weave is looking like, and I'm going to continue. Look at how pretty it looks like. Very, very beautiful. This is the second row we've started, and we are going to continue to the end. Okay, so remember to go through all the edge bead and add 2 beads to your left line. I'm about to complete this row. Now my right line into the next bead, I add 2 beads to my left line. Into the next bead again, 2 bead. Cross with the right line and pull. Now I'm coming into the last bead over here. This is the last bead at the end, okay? Now I'm going to put my right line into the last bead over here. I'm pulling through this bead, and the same line, the right line, I'm adding 2 beads to my right line. I'm going to cross with my left line and pull. So this is my left line. I pull through the bead, okay? Now my line turn on the side again. I'm going to start another row. This is where my line is, okay? We are going to start another row. I'm going to flip it over to my side. Now on my left line again, I add 3 beads to my left line. Then I cross with the right line and pull down. I'm going to pull again into the next bead. Go through the next bead with your right line, add 2 beads to the left line and cross with the right line. Pull. Right line into the next bead and add 2 beads to the left line. Then cross the last bead with the right line and then pull it down. This is how the weave is looking like. The right line again into the next bead. I add 2 beads to my left line, cross with the right line, then pull down. Now this is how it's looking like. So this is how the weave is looking like, and we are going to continue into the edge bead and add 2 beads to our left line. Okay, so we are going to continue into the next bead. I'm going to weave couple, then I'll do the rest of camera and I'll come and meet you back here. So continue to the end. Now I'm about to complete the 3rd row, then I'll start the 4th row. Okay, cross with the right line and pull. Now I'm going to pull my line again into the next bead. I add 2 beads to my left line, cross and pull down. Now this is the last bead at the edge. I'm going to pull my right line into the next bead. This is the last bead. I'm pulling my right line through. Now I'm going to add 2 beads to the same line and turn to the side. So my right line, I add 2 beads to my right line, and I'm going to cross the last one with my left line and pull like this. Pull down. Now you see my line turn on the side again. 1, 2, 3. We turn on the side and we are going to start a new row. Okay, now I'm starting with 3 beads. My left line, I'm adding 3 beads to my left line. Then I cross with the right line, pull. You see we started the 4th row again. Now into the next bead. I add 2 beads to my left line. Cross with the right line and pull. Now into the next bead again. I add 2 beads to my left line. Cross and pull. Into the next bead. Add 2 beads to the left line. You see how simple it is to weave this mat? Very, very simple. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to complete this 4th row and we are going to create more. Okay, this is 4. We are going to create more rows until we make 27. Okay, So I'm going to complete this fourth one, 1 2 3 4 5 until 27. Okay, to continue to make a big mat, and now come back and meet you here. This is how it's looking like. Very pretty, very beautiful color. So now here we are with the mat. I completed mine, and now I'm just weaving the rest of this line into the bead a little bit to secure it before we continue. Okay, just weaving the line back into the bead. Now here is our mat. Let me cut this line over here. So remember, our mat measurement is 21 by 27. Okay, this is 21 and here 27 across. Okay, now we are going to fold and make our bag. I'm going to count to 11 to this side. This is 11. I'm going to stop here, and 11 again from this side. Okay, this is 11, and we have 5 in the middle. This is 5 we are going to fold on, and it's going to be our base. Okay, I'm going to fold on the 11 on both sides. Then we have 5 in the middle. That is what is going to be our base. 1 2 3 4 5. I'm going to fold the side in, and now we have our base, and here is the side. We are going to fill with the side to close. So I'm going to put my line through these 2 beads. Put the line through 2 beads. Now on my left line, I add 2 beads to my left line. I cross with the right line and pull down. I'll be pulling again my right line into the next bead. My right line to the next bead. Pull through the next bead. Then I add 2 beads to my left line. Cross, pull down. Again, my right line into the next bead. I add 2 beads to my left line, cross with the right line, and pull. Now this is the 4th bead I'm going to go through. Remember, we take 5 for the base. Okay, this is the 4th one. I add 2 beads to my left line, cross, and pull down. Now we are going to pull through the last bead, which is the 5th one. This is the last bead, my right line into the next bead, and this one on the side. I go through. This is bead number 5 for the base, and this one on the side. Take 1 bead, cross both ends of the line, and pull down like this. Now I'm going to pull my right line again into the next bead. My right line into this bead. Pull through this bead on the side. Now my left line, I add 2 beads. Cross and pull down. Now I'm going to weave backwards. Okay, I'm going to weave towards me. Now I'm going to walk back again into the next bead. I add 2 beads to my left line, cross, and pull down into the next bead again, my right line into the next bead. Now I'm weaving backwards, okay, towards me. Now I add 2 beads to my left line, cross, and pull down into the next bead again. Two bead, cross with the right line and pull down. Now over here I'm going to pull into the next bead and this one on the side over here. I pull through the next and this on the side. Now I need 1 bead to complete this row. Okay, so I take 1 bead, cross both ends of my line into it, and pull down. And this is how we are going to continue to fill the side. Now my right line again into the next bead, put the right line into the next bead. Now the same line, I add 2 beads to it. add 2 beads to the right line, cross and pull. I'm going to weave back again. Now my right line into the next bead. Now I add 2 beads to my left line, cross and pull down. My right line into the next bead. I add 2 beads to my left line, cross and pull into the next bead, 2 beads. Okay, this is just a simple weave we are using. Okay, it's the same way we weave the mat for the bag. That is what we are weaving over here into the next bead, and this bead on the side, this and this one. I'm going to pull my line through them, these 2 beads, and now I'm going to take 1 bead, cross both ends of my line into it and pull down. Okay, 1 bead, cross and pull. So again, my right line into the next bead, pull through the next bead, add 2 beads to the left line, I cross with my right line and pull. I'm going to walk backwards again into the next bead, so I pull my right line into the next bead. I add 2 beads to my left line, cross and pull down into the next bead, 2 beads, pull. Now I'm pulling through this bead over here, the next one. I add 2 beads to my left line, I cross with the right line and pull. Now we are about to complete this row. I'm going to pull my line into the last bead and this one on the side. Pull through. This is the last one, and I'm going to pick one from the side. And I need only 1 bead to complete this row. Okay? Cross and pull down. Now I'm going to go ahead and make 1 more row. Then I'll continue the rest of camera and I'll come back and meet you here. Into the next bead, 2 bead. Into the next bead, add 2 bead to the left line, cross and pull down. Into the next, 2 bead. So now I'm going to pull through the last bead and the one on the side. This is the last bead and the one on the side. And I need only 1 bead over here to complete this row. Cross and pull it down. Okay, you need only 1 bead to complete this row. And this is how it's looking like. This is how the weave is looking like on the side. I'm going to continue, complete, and I'll come back and meet you here. This is how it's looking like. Very pretty and very beautiful weave. A beginner can do this. This is very, very simple to make. Now into the last bead and the one on the side. Go through this last bead, this one on the side. Now I need only 1 bead to complete this row. Cross and pull down like this. This is how the side is looking like. And the rest of the line, I'll be weaving it back into the bead. I'll weave it back into the bead to secure it before I trim it off. So I'm going to go ahead and make the side, the second side too. Very simple. So if the second side too is done, look at how pretty it looks like. We are done with the second side. You have to complete the second side before we continue. Okay, now we are going to fold the side in 1, 2, 3. fold on 3 in the middle like this. 1 2 3. Okay, I'm going to pull my line into this 3 bead right here, and now this 3 bead, okay, that is where my line is. So I take 1 bead and I cross both ends of my line into it like this, cross the right line into it and pull down. So again, I'm going to pull my line into the next bead, this one into the next, this 2 bead on the side. I'm going to pull my line through it. So my right line into the next bead, okay, my right line into that one, pull too tight, okay, and my left line into the next bead, this one. All right, pull it through, pull tight. Now I'm going to take 1 bead again, cross both ends of my line into it and pull down, pull. So now again, I'm going to go ahead and pull through the next bead, okay, this one. Now my left line again, this line into the next bead on the opposite side, pull through the next bead, take 1 bead, cross both ends of the line into it and pull. So now I'm going to pull again into the next bead, this one, okay, and this one, my left line into this. So I pull my right line to the next one, my left into this bead, down, pull, okay. Now I'm going to take 1 bead again, cross both ends of my line into it and pull down, pull. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to weave the rest of my line back into the bead, okay. So I'm going to pull through the down bead, pull through this down bead. That's where I can have way to weave the rest of the line. I'm just weaving it back into the bead to make sure it's well secured enough before I trim it off. Okay, I weave like this. Now weave back into the bead. Secure the line before I trim it off. And this is how the side is looking like. Into the bead, you can weave further into the bead. This line, you can weave further into the bead before you trim it off. So now we're done with the side, and what we are going to do next, we are going to weave on the top over here. We are going to cover it because it's going to be a one-handed bag. We have to cover it. So these 2 beads, I'm going to pull my line. I pull my line through these 2 beads on the side over here. So now again, I'm going to pull my right line, these 2 beads, okay, into the next bead, this one. Pulling my right line again into this 3rd bead over here and pull. Now I take 1 bead, I cross both ends of my line into it and pull down. Again, I'm going to pull my right line into the next bead. I pull through this bead, and now my left line I hold and pull through the next bead. Pull through the next bead like this. Then I add 1 bead to my left line, and I'm going to cross into this bead, this one, okay. I'm going to pull my line through this bead to lock my line in. Like this. Now I'm weaving the rest of the line into the bead to secure it in this bead before I trim it off. Cross and pull. Now this line, I'm just weaving it back into the bead to make sure it's well secured in the bead before I trim it off. So anytime you are weaving, make sure the end lines, you weave it back into the bead. Make sure it's well secured in the bead, okay, before you cut it off. Now let's do this part. So I'm going to go through these 2 beads over here. These 2 beads and into this bead. I'm going to pull my line through the next bead. And now I add one bead to my line, cross my right line and pull. Now I'm going to go into this bead, pull my right line into this bead. Now I'm going to take one bead and add to my line. I add one bead to my line and I'm going to pull my line into this bead. Pull through this bead on the side over here. I pull through the next bead right here and then hold my left line and pull through the same bead, okay? To lock my line in that bead. This is how it's looking like. For the rest of these lines, I'm going to weave it back into the bead to secure it before I trim it off, like how we did for the other side. Weave back into the bead, make sure you secure it and then trim it off. This is how the bag is looking like. Look at how we finished this part. So we are going to repeat the same thing on this side over here. We are going to weave and then I will do this off camera and I'll come back and meet you here. And now it's done. I'm done with it. Look at the top. Look at how it's looking like. The bag is looking pretty already. Very beautiful. So now what we are going to do, we are going to make the handle for the bag. So with this bag, you can decide to use the same color of bead to make the handle and the bag. But this time, I'm going to use pearls to make the handle. Okay, I'm going to use pearls to make the handle for this bag. So let me show you how we are going to make the handle. I'm going to start with 4 bead. I'm going to put all these 4 bead on the line like this. This is 4 bead on the line. And I'm going to hold the last one. Then I'll cross my right line into it and pull. It's the same as how we started weaving the bag. The same technique we are using for the handle. So on each line, I'm adding one bead on each line like this. Okay? Then I'm going to cross into the 3rd bead and pull. Cross and pull down. Again, we are going to pull one bead on each line and I'm going to cross into the 3rd bead. Cross and pull down. And this is how the weave is looking like. The same way we started with the bag, the same way we weave the bag, this is what we are repeating for the handle too. Okay, now again I add 1 bead on each side of my line, the right and the left line. Okay, then I'm going to cross into the 3rd bead and pull down like this. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now we are going to turn on this 4. So on my left line, I'm adding 3 beads to my left line. That way my line can turn on the side so I can start a new row. Okay, this is 3 beads I add on my left line. I'm going to hold the last one and cross my right line into it and pull down like this. Now my line turn on the side. Now again my left line, I add 3 beads to my left line. Cross, pull down. Now my right line into the next bead. Pull through the next bead. Then I add 2 beads to my left line. I cross with my right line and pull into the next bead. Okay, so this is the same way we weave the bag. This is what we are repeating over here. The same technique we use, we are repeating the same technique over here, just that I'm using a different color of bead. Okay, so now into the next bead again, I add 2 beads to my left line. I cross with my right line and pull into the next bead. This line, the same line, I add 2 beads to it. That's my right line. Okay, then I pull. This is how it's looking like. I'm going to add 3 beads to my left line like this. Then I'm going to cross and pull. This time I'm weaving backwards. Okay, cross and pull. This is how it's looking like into the next bead. Add 2 beads to the left line, cross and pull. Come into the next bead, 2 beads to the left line, cross and pull. Now into the next bead, 2 bead, cross and pull down. And now I add 2 beads to my left line, cross and pull down. So again, this is the technique we are going to repeat throughout the entire weave. My right line, I'm adding 3 beads to my right line like this, cross and pull. Now into the next bead again, I add 2 beads to my left line, I cross and pull. Into the next bead, I add 2 beads to my left line, cross and pull down. Into the next, 2 bead. Into the next, add 2 bead. Okay, this is how the weave is looking like. It's the same way we weave for the back. This is what we are repeating. This is 4. We are going to create more and make as long as 59 rows. Okay, 59. Make long 59 rows. And this is 5. Okay, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now we are going to make more rows on this 5. Make it long as 59. Okay, so that when we join, we are going to join to have 60. Now here is my 59 that I made. I'm going to join, and when we join, then it's 60. Okay, it's going to make 60 rows. So let's put these 2 pieces together. This is my fresh line that I cut. I'm going to pull through this edge bead over here like this bead. Okay, this bead right here. Now I'm adding 1 bead to my line. Then I'm going to hold the other piece and pull the other end through the edge bead, the same edge bead on the opposite side. Okay, so now I'm going to take 1 bead. This is how it's looking like. So I take 1 bead and cross both ends of my line into it and pull. Now my line, I'm going to pull my right line into the next bead, my left line into the next bead on the opposite side. Okay, so I pull my right line into the next bead, my left line, hold it, go through the next bead right here. Then I take 1 bead and cross both ends of my line into it, pull down into the next bead, my right line into the next bead, left line into the next bead. Take 1 bead, cross and pull into the next bead with my right line, my left line into the next bead. I take 1 bead, cross both ends of my line into it and pull down. So now into the last bead on this side and this bead on the opposite side. Take 1 bead and cross both ends of the line into it and pull. And this is how we join it. Okay, this is how it's looking like. So how we are going to create this belt, we are going to make the handle. We are going to fold on it, fold like this and fold around and join the 2 together. Okay, but before then, I'm going to weave these lines back into the bead and secure them well before I trim. Now this is how it's looking like. This is how it's looking like. Now we are going to fold on it like this, and I'm going to show you how we are going to seal these ends. Here is my line. I'm going to pull through 1 bead, any of these beads, but you have to make sure it's equal. Okay, you are pulling through 2 equal beads on each side. So now I add 1 bead on my line. I'm going to add 1 bead on my line like this. So now the other end, I'm going to pull into the next bead on this side, this bead. Okay, equal. Make sure the beads are aligned to each other. Okay, now I take 1 bead, cross both ends of my line into it, pull down. So now my right line into the next bead. Then I'll hold my left line and pull into the next bead. Pull through the next bead. Then I'll take 1 bead and cross both ends of my line and pull. Now into the next bead on my right side, next bead on the left side. Take one bead, cross both ends of the line into it, pull down. Into the next bead, into the next bead on the right side. So I take one bead, cross and pull. I'm going to pull again into my right bead and into the left bead, like this. Then I take one bead, cross both ends of my line into it and pull down. So this is what we'll be repeating round this weave, okay? This is what we'll be repeating round. So we have a rounded shape handle. This is what we are creating over here. We are going to have a very round shape of handle. So we are going to fold in, seal with the bead round, and this is what we have, okay? This is what I have right here. This is mine. I completed mine, and we are going to use this to attach to the bag, okay? And here is the bag we made. We are going to position this handle, this rounded shape handle on it, and then attach it to the bag. This is how we are going to attach it. Over here you have to position the handle very well. So now we have 21 on this side, okay? 21 rows. Now 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. This is 11 is our middle. Over here is our middle, this bead, okay? This is our middle. If you count here, is 10, 9, 10, okay? And this is the 11th one. So this is our middle over here. And now with this middle, I'm going to put this line into it as my guide, okay? So I'm going to put this line into it to serve as my guide, okay? Now we are going to come back 1 2, these 2 bead over here, 1 2 bead, okay? And now this side 1 2. That is what we are going to use. 1 2 3 4 5. So these are the 5 we are going to use, and these 2 we are going to start from these 2 bead, okay? And now on the handle, these are the bead over here we are going to use to attach to the bag. And now 1 2 3 4 5, that's what we are going to use to attach to the handle. So now this bead, I'm going to pull my line. All right, my line is in this bead right here. So now I'm going to add 1 bead to my line. This bead, I'm going to put it on my line. Now I'm going to go through the first 5 bead, okay? This is the first bead I'm going to pull my line through. I'm going to start here into this bead. Now I'm going to take 1 bead and cross both ends of my line into it and pull. Cross and pull, okay? Now I'm going to pull into the next bead, this line into the next bead, this one right here. Pull through the next 4, and now I'm going to hold this line and go through my left line into the second bead on the bag, okay? This is the second bead. I pull my line through on the bag. Pull tight, okay? Now I take 1 bead, cross both ends of my line into it and pull down like this. So again, on the handle, I'm going to pull into the next bead. Pull through the next bead. And now on the bag, into the next bead. This one, okay? Remember, we picked 5 in the middle. This is the 3rd bead. And now I add 1 bead to my line, cross and pull down. So now we have 2 left. I'm going to pull through the next bead, okay? And into the next bead on the handle. Go through the next bead on the handle. I take one bead, cross both ends of my line, pull down. So now I'm going to go into the fifth bead, okay, on the handle, the fifth bead on the handle, and on the back I'm going to pull through the last bead, this one. This is the last bead right here. Pull and pull tight, okay? Now I take one bead, and now over here I'm just going to tie, pull and tie nice and neat. Tie in between the bead and not on the bead, okay? So now the rest of the line I'm going to weave it. If you want to recount, you can recount to see if you position your handle well in the middle. Now we are good to go, because you can count from the side from here and this side to see if you did well on positioning your handle. Else you're gonna have a very crooked bag if you don't position the handle very well. So on this side we are going to repeat the same thing over here, okay? We're going to repeat the same. We are going to pick 3 on this side, 1 2 3. That's what we are going to use. And on the handle, 1 2 3, okay? So I'm going to pull my line into the first 3. I pull my line through and I add 1 bead to my line, and I'm going to pull through the first 3 on the bag like this and pull. So now I'm going to take 1 bead and cross both ends of my line into it and pull down. So into the next bead, this is the second bead on the back, and on the handle I take 1 bead, cross both ends of my line and pull. Now I'm going to pull again into the last bead, okay, over here. Pull through the last bead on the back and on the handle like this. Now I take 1 bead and cross both ends of my line into it. So over here too you can tie or weave the rest of the line like this. I'm going to hold it and cross, pull. This is how it's looking like. This is how the side is looking like. And we have to repeat the same thing on this side too. We go through the first 3 on the handle and first 3 on the back. And this is how it's looking like if you do the same I did over here, okay? So we attach it on both sides. This is how the bag is looking like. Very, very pretty. Let's do the flap on this bag. So if you put something in it, you can close your flap on it, okay? So we are going to ignore the first one and start in the second bead, okay? This is the second bead. I'm going to start. I start with 3 bead. I add 3 bead to my left line, cross and pull into the next bead. Pull my right line into the next bead and I add 3 bead to my left line. I cross with my right line and pull down into the next bead again. I add 2 bead to my left line, cross and pull into the next bead. I add 2 bead to my left line. I cross with my right line and pull down. So now this is what we are going to repeat to the end, okay? So I'm about to complete this row. I'm starting a new row with 3 bead. I start a new row with 3 bead. This is the second row. Into the next bead, 2 bead. Into the next bead again, I add 2 beads to my left line, cross and pull down. So we are going to continue and make 4 rows, okay? I'm going to continue to make 4 rows of this. I'm going to pull into the next bead and add 2 beads. Into the next bead, 2 beads. So now I'm going to complete this row and make another 2 to make 4 like this, okay? So this is 4 rows, 1, 2, 3, 4. And now this is where my line is. My line is in this bead over here. I ignore the first bead and start in the second bead. I start with 3 beads. Into the next bead, I add 2 beads to my left line, cross and pull. Into the next bead, I add 2 beads to my left line, cross and pull down. Into the next bead, 2 beads, cross and pull down. So we are going to continue from here. We are going to continue and stop in this bead. I'll go ahead and complete. Now I completed that row and now I ignore the first bead and start in the second bead, okay? So I start in the second bead and we are going to stop here in this bead. And then we are going to continue to do the same. I start with 3 beads. So we are going to go down 1 bead, okay? On each row, you go down 1 bead until we come to 3 beads, okay, at the end. So now I add 2 beads to my line. I'm going to continue like this, going down 1 bead until we come to 1 to 3. 3 beads at the end, okay? Now I'm going to continue. From here, I'm not going to go down. I'm going to add 3 beads to my line. Add 3 beads to my line, cross and pull down. Into the next bead, go to the next bead, I add 2 beads to my line like this, cross and pull. Now I'm pulling into the 3rd bead, okay? So now the same line I pull through the bead, I add 2 beads to it. I add 2 beads to that line, I cross with my left line and pull down. This is how it's looking like. Now I'm going to start again with 3 beads. I add 3 beads to my left line, cross and pull down. Now into the next, I add 2 beads to my left line. I cross, pull. Into the next bead, this is the last bead, 2 beads, cross and pull down. Now what we are going to do, I'm going to make my way with the line and come to the middle bead, okay? I'm going to work my way around this bead and come to the middle bead. I'm weaving through this bead over here so I can enter the middle bead. I'm going to pull through this one, and I'll come on top, okay? So enter this bead, hold the other line and enter this bead. If you have a fresh line, you can just pull through right away into the middle bead and then add your bead to it. This is how it's looking like. I add 3 beads to one of my line, either line, okay? It doesn't matter. So I'm going to cross with 1 and pull. This is how the end is looking like. We have the end of this bolt. It looks very pretty. So I'm going to lock my line into the middle bead over here. I lock my line into the bead and weave the rest of the line before I trim it off. And this is how it's looking like. It looks very pretty, very beautiful already. Now we are going to create a simple design to hold this belt down. Okay, we are going to pull the line through this bead. I'm going to pull my line through this bead over here, and now I'm going to add two beads on each side of my line. I'm adding 2 beads to my left side, and on the right line I add 2 beads. Okay, like this. Add two beads like this. Now I take 1 bead and cross both ends of my line into it, pull down. So now again on each side of my line I'm going to put 5 beads like this. Now I take 1 bead and cross both ends of my line into it and pull down. So again on each line I'm going to repeat two beads on each side of my line. So now I'm going to cross into this one. Okay, I'm crossing my line into this bead over here. This is the 5th bead, okay, in the middle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I cross my line into the 5th one. Make sure you position everything in the middle so it looks very beautiful. So I tie here, and the rest of the line I'm going to weave it a little bit back into the bead, then I trim it off. Just weave into the bead, secure the line, and then trim it off very beautifully. Okay, now this is how it's looking like. It looks very pretty. It looks very beautiful already. Here is our final product, and take a look at how beautiful it looks like. I thank you for spending this time with me, and I will see you guys in my next video. Thank you for watching again. Bye.